So this is the part A of the KHOODEELAARTV television channel, timed at 06:50 GMT and 07:50 BST on Wednesday, the 13th of September 2023. This is being broadcast there are so many examples that, in context of checking facts, warrant being examined. And there is no explanation for the endless promotion of this racist woman, Kate Williams, Princess Wales. Every single day, the main picture, absolutely positive picture, like a religious ceremony, of Kate Middleton dominates the Murdoch papers and the other tabloids. And the idea is to show her as better and to show Meghan Markle in contrast with her as being worse. This is sick. And there is no way that the evidence can be denied that the rift that happened within the monarchy while Brenda was alive, Queen Brenda was alive, and the ouster of Harry Windsor took place. It all came from Kate Middleton. She's the driver. But there is more important than any of the other items today is the piece in the Times that has got a sum attached to the slavery reparations. Caribbean nations will seek $33 trillion slavery payout, says the Times on page 27. And it's a piece byline to somebody called Will Pavia. And it reads, Caribbean nations will seek $33 trillion from European governments and an apology for their role in the transatlantic slave trade as part of a new push for reparations. A bloc of 15 Caribbean states hopes to begin negotiating with Britain, France, Spain, and Denmark over a 10-point plan that would include a formal apology, funding for health and education, and the cancellation of debt and direct payments to their governments. Britain owes $19.6 trillion. Spain owes $6.3 trillion. France owes $6.5 trillion, according to a report produced by an American consulting firm that sought to circulate legal damages. I'll read that again. Britain owes $19.6 trillion. Spain owes $6.3 trillion. And France owes $6.5 trillion, according to a report produced by an American consulting firm that sought to calculate, not circulate, calculate legal damages for the enslavement of 19 million people over 4 centuries. Now that's a calculation. Now, our claim against various parties, the movement, and the organizations constituting parts of the movement, at this stage, at this date, the headline amount is 10 billion pounds. And this covers the thefts and the destruction of the relevant materials originally created, authored in a unique way over 6 decades. So that's the context, and we are not going to read the whole of the Times piece. So there is one highlight that I'll read. So one commenter is very, very clear about the distinction. His name is Aspute. He remains an advocate of reparations, but says the money is owed to the descendants of former slaves, not to the government, which the government was trying to steal poor black people's money by making this claim, which is absolutely correct. Most European governments have resisted the idea of reparations, asked in the Commons in April if he would agree to offer an apology and commit to reparatory justice. Rishi Sunak said no, as trying to unpick our history is not the right way forward. Vereen Shepherd, one of the figures featured in this piece, is Jamaican professor of history, vice chairwoman of the Reparations Commission for CARICOM, a political and economic union of the 15 states. She said that while it was almost impossible to calculate the true extent of the damage caused by the slave trade, the figures provided a starting point for negotiations. The crime is huge, she said. The responsibility for what happened is huge. Now, if you multiply the actual crimes across the board and as continuing, because the slave trade is not ended, the slave trade is continuing, and slave trade should be treated as a facet of the overall criminality of empire and imperialism. For example, the intellectual damage caused by the likes of Macaulay and those who actually adopted his policies, so called, in the subcontinent in destroying the status of the languages of the people of the subcontinent should be compared to the damages caused to those people who were enslaved and traded and whose freedom was robbed from them. Now, in addition to that, ongoing disparity, discrimination on a daily, hourly basis that are perpetrated against people of from the for reparation as calculated and as measured in the way that this particular feature represents. Under the heading Caribbean nations will seek $33 trillion slavery payouts from Europe. Our work has been originated over 6 decades, and our work is continuing. And this encompasses, contains all the disciplines known, and in every single discipline, the position, evidentially, factually, ethically, morally, objectively, the position established on the evidence is a position contrary to the status quo as represented by the cabals that are now the couriers of racists and racist slaves, mental slaves. So the dimension of mental slavery and mental slaves must be included as well, which is what is included in our overall claim, original claim. One of the things that the local councils have been guilty of perpetrating is to decriminalize crimes. For example, the current bureaucratic proposal ongoing in Tower Hamlets for the abolition of the Tower Hamlets Community Housing THCH, and the transfer to Poplar Harka of all the THCH linked properties that previously belonged to Tower Hamlets Council and as housing stock. This is a criminality with multiple aspects of damage and harm and hurt being inflicted by this criminality, multiple criminality. And because we, the movement, have represented and are representing and do represent all the aspects and all the to so perpetrate by their assumption of positions within the local council, Tower Hamlets. So you extrapolate that and include other councils that are guilty of similar offenses and robbery and lying and conspiracy. For example, in the administrative kind of arrangement that exists in the so-called United Kingdom, the central government departments, like for example the housing, there is a thing called the housing benefit, which is the rent that is paid by the tenants for the tenancy of council owned housing properties. When there is a certain amount of income limitation and the tenant concerned cannot pay the rent concerned, that is when the council steps in as a result of the arrangement put in place by the UK central government bureaucracy. And that rent is paid. And the rent that is paid is called the housing benefit. It's not a benefit that goes into the pocket of the tenant, but it is a benefit that the council itself receives from the bureaucracy that it itself operates on behalf of the particular tenant. Now, when this is calculated, it is said that the calculation of the housing benefit is done by measuring the particular amount or level of income of the particular tenant at the time. Now, in the case of Tower Hamlets, the housing benefit or the rent really has been calculated by the housing benefit section, which is generally controlled by the overall in the deprivation DWP. So when they conspired to create an arrear liability, claim for rent payments organization, a perpetrator, an offender. So these had ramifications on so many other levels. And this had the opportunity made available to Henrietta Manners, who was a district judge in Shoreditch County Court, and her co-racist criminal called Judith Goodman, who later sat in 2011 as a deputy district judge at the Clerkenwell and Shoreditch County Court. Now, everything that Judith Goodman said was a lie, and everything that the so-called barrister Edward Fitzpatrick did was a lie, and everything the so-called solicitor Lucie Green, Lucie Green, Grene, everything that Lucie Green did, and everything that Jim Fitzpatrick did was a lie, was a hostile act against the particular tenant on whose behalf they were allegedly involved in the proceedings, and they completely fucked up. And they fucked it up in a comprehensive, planned way that actually aggravated the criminality perpetrated by Steve Hill, Mike Tyrrell, and the DWP. So the reparations, which can be difficult to calculate in the case of the slavery exploitation of the people of the Caribbean. But in the case of Tower Hamlets Council's behavior, there is no difficulty in calculating the criminality that was persuaded by Steve Hill, Mike Tyrrell, and the DWP at all. When I appeared for a group of co-op residents in the Stratford to advocate for one of the co-op members, I found that another member of the same co-op was being allegedly represented by Edward Patrick, the same Edward Patrick. Now, I asked the racist liar criminal why he had done what he had done at the Clerkenwell and Shoreditch County Court. And the racist criminal liar, Edward Patrick, didn't have the morality to answer my question. The master liar They had lied against baby angel Geronimo, so therefore any test would definitely expose their lie. That is the reason why they persisted in saying no to the basic demand by baby angel Geronimo through his mom, Helen MacDonald, that if they insisted that he was carrying bovine tuberculosis, then what would they have to lose by letting baby angel Geronimo go through an independent, objective, rigorous test? But they knew, the conspirators, the liars, that any rigorous and independent test would expose them as liars and as criminals, as offenders, as conspirators. That's why they said no. And they recruited, as part of the corrupt bureaucracy of the judiciary, the services of the three judges, Murray and then Griffiths, and the district judge before Murray. And when they found that the request for scientific, objective, independent test would go against the criminals conspiring against the baby angel Geronimo, the judges, so called, repeatedly lied to deny baby angel Geronimo that particular option. And they said that it didn't matter. They said that it didn't matter whether baby angel Geronimo was infected or not. Because they said, as Griffith said in July 2021, that the Secretary of State, that is George Injustice Eustace, was entitled to disregard the evidence. So it wasn't like they were doing the conspiracy in secret. They're doing the robbery in public. They were breaking all the rules, breaching all the laws, domestic and international. The judges became prostitutes. For the criminal state, the evil state. And they delivered the gratification that the prostitutes can and could deliver to the criminal punters, the DEFRA. It didn't matter whether baby angel Geronimo was infected or not. Whether he independently tested would have produced the negative result. But on the records, they all put the same lying stump that it didn't matter.